They want something. I've just spoken to so many people who got married because they were tired of being alone. They were tired of waking up every morning and seeing no one in the bed next to them. Or they wanted to have children. They wanted to do things the right way, so they got married because they wanted it to look good and be good. But yet when the trials came, when the situation, when the suffering came, and the situations that would try a couple came, there was no love to keep them there. Why? Because each had gone into the relationship looking for something. And once they got what it was that they wanted, there was no other reason to stay. There was nothing keeping them there, so that when the trials come and the money ran out and all of a sudden one is sick and one can't do the things that they used to be able to do, all of a sudden it's a reason for divorce. Or if one makes the mistake and goes on and commits adultery and goes outside the vow, instead of looking to forgive and to let love cover that sin, for only love can do that, they say, no, 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 it's done.
My God.
And there's so many excuses that people use to get out of that commitment, to get out of that relationship. Why? Because they didn't have that love to keep them there. So it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. For so many people come to the Lord looking for something. They're looking for deliverance out of their situation. They're looking for a good feeling, or they're looking to fulfill some social obligation, or maybe they're looking for a community to be a part of. But yet, when the better turns to worse, and when the health turns to sickness, and their bodies ravaged, or they find themselves, as the psalmist did, in a situation where their situation overwhelmed them, they said, no, 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 I can't do it. I can't take this. This is not what I bargained for. This is not what I'm looking for. And so they leave. They walk away from the Lord. Why? Because they weren't looking for Him to satisfy. But when you have that same kind of thirst as an author professed, when you have that same kind of hunger and desire, not for things, but for Jesus Christ Himself, you will do whatever it takes to get closer and closer. You'll do whatever it takes to push aside and to be like the woman with the issue of blood who said, I've got to at least touch the hem of His garment. I've got to push past my situation. I've got to get past me, and I've got to touch the hem of His garment, for only He can satisfy. Because I've tried doctors, I've tried the witch doctor, I've tried holistic medicine, I've tried everything else that I could try, but now I know that only Jesus can satisfy. Church, is that same kind of hunger. We are going to make it, especially in these last and closing days, and we are going to make it till the sound of the trumpet. We've got to have that thirst for Christ, knowing that only He can satisfy. And it's one thing for us to come and to sing the song, as the deer panteth for the water, so my soul longeth after Thee. But it's another thing when the brook seems as if it's dried up, and if we have nothing left, and we are so spent that everything that we try has come to naught. It's another thing in that situation to say, I love Him too much to fail Him now. I love Him too much to break my vow. You see, I made a vow to the Lord, not because I wanted something from Him, but because I love Him. Amen. Because I desire Him, because I thirst after Him, just like the psalmist thirsted, just like the deer thirsted and was looking for that water brook to satisfy him. I love Him too much that even though I'm in a situation where my husband is on his deathbed and he's the main provider and everything else, the dreams and everything we had went up in smoke, even though I have no children and my adversary is rubbing it in my face and criticizing me and making fun of me, even though I'm in a situation that I feel all hope is gone, I love Him too much to break my vow. Why? Because when I stood before the Lord, I promised Him that I would make it. Somehow. Somehow, no matter what, I would make it. And yes, now this seems a situation where it seems I can't quite get over it. It's a situation where I'm being overwhelmed, where that deep is calling to deep, and the waves are crashing over me. Just when I think I come over one situation, there's another to bring me down. But I've still got to make it. Why? Because I came in this race with my mind made up to serve the Lord no matter what. And I'm going to do that no matter what it takes. Church, we've got to get that determination in us. We've got to find that love for the Lord. situation. It doesn't matter how I feel as if I can't make it, how I poured myself up before the Lord. It seems like there's no change, but I'm going to make it. I've got to make it. And for those who take that stand for the Lord is their banner and is their shield. For if you stand and take that commitment for the Lord, there is no way that He will ever leave you or forsake you. There is no way that He will ever leave you in your place of desperation. No matter how long it seems you may need to be there to learn a few things. But as we said with Joseph, he was in the pit and he was in Potiphar's house. But there were some things that he had to learn. See, Joseph wasn't used to Egypt. He was a 17-year-old boy and all he had known was the comfort of his father's house. But yet he had to learn about the traditions of Egypt and how they carried themselves and how they worked. And then when he learned that, he had to learn some good financial management. See, there were some people that were depending on Joseph. There were some people that were depending on him to get to Pharaoh's house and to be able to feed him. For what would have happened to all his family if Joseph had been content to stay in Potiphar's house? He was blessed in Potiphar's house, it's true, but that blessing was just an encouragement to keep going. It was just an encouragement to bulk up for the next trial that was coming, for he was going to be thrown into prison. But every step of the way, the Bible tells us that the Lord was with Joseph. And the Lord caused him to prosper in everything that he did. Even in the pit and in prison, when Potiphar's wife was lying on him, when he was thrown into prison for no good reason, the Lord was still with him and the Lord prospered him in his situation. Church, the Lord is looking to prosper us in the midst of the situation, but it takes some love on our part to say, you know what, despite the situation, I may be in prison right now, but I will still give thanks. I will still praise. Why? Because I'm not just here because I want something from the Lord. I'm not just some gold digger who just wants a little blessing and then I'm going to go on my way. But I'm here because I love the Lord. And I will make it somehow. Even if it means going through the pit. Even if it means letting go of all my dreams and everything that I work for. I'm going to make it somehow. Stand with me this morning. The Lord is looking for someone who would reciprocate the love that He showed for us. The Lord is looking for one who would reciprocate that same kind of love. For the Lord came, and while we were yet sinners, while we weren't in our pretty state, while we weren't anything to look at, He died for us. Not because He wanted something from us, not because He was looking for something, but just because He loves us. Oh, there's a song that says, "What love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forevermore endure." Saints and angels' songs. The love of God is everlasting. It's unconditional. And when He says, for better or for worse, He means it. For even though His love dictated that He go up Calvary's cross and hang there while all His creation mocked Him and criticized Him, He did it. Why? Because He loves us. The Lord is looking for us to reciprocate that same kind of love. He's looking for us to give Him that same kind of love, unconditional love that He's given to us. But the love that He's looking for is not one that just dictates that we just come here on a Sunday morning and sing some nice songs and then go about our business. But to borrow from another worship leader, I'm laughing because it's my brother who taught me this. But he said that what we do in this house should just be an extension of what we do on a regular basis. Amen. And it's so true, because if we love the Lord, then there is nothing that will stop us from praising Him and giving Him glory. Why? Because we know that He is good and He allows all things to work together for His purpose, that He be glorified. So that when we come together, it should not be a difficult thing to lift up our hands and to cry out in adoration and thanksgiving and to rejoice together. Why? Because we've been rejoicing all week knowing that we love the Lord, and even though our situation is looking to drown us,